Hello, everybody. I wish I could be coming here today under better circumstances, but yeah, the show must go on, right? And look, me and Lucas, we had our differences for sure, but I just never thought he would leave. I never thought he would leave. And, I'm just going to miss him a lot. And I'm just being honest. I think that he, Lucas Tracy is kind of like YouTube Rewind in a weird kind of cosmic way, right? Like, while it's here, it's kind of fun to make fun of and laugh at. But then now that it's gone, it's like, I just took you for granted, I think. But regardless, like I said, the show must go on. We got UFC 305 coming up, and today I am systematically crafting you guys a parlay that cannot fail. Now, this parlay right here, this is either going to make or break whether or not I get new teeth, okay? It all comes down to UFC 305. UFC 305 is going to be the decision maker on whether or not I can afford to screw two fake teeth in my mouth, or I'm going to look like this for the rest of my life. All right. So with that all being said, let's just get right into it. All right. On the very first fight of the night, we got Nicoll versus Jesus Aguilar. All right. Pretty much what this comes down to, Nicoll, this is his debut in the UFC. He's never fought there before, but I will tell you what. This guy's grappling and his transitions up against the fence, it's a problem. I mean, it's tough to deal with. He gets you up against the fence. He's very good at finding trips. He's very good at chaining through different takedowns there. And, he's got very good submissions, good back takes. This guy, he is an absolute nightmare as far as grappling goes. Striking, I think he'll be at a slight disadvantage to Jesus. However, he's not bad at all. He's got decent timing. But, of course, I would say Jesus does have an advantage in the striking, and he fucking cracks. I mean, he landed this overhand in one of his last fights that just knocked the guy out stiff, which for flyweight, that is not very common, which makes this a scary fight to bet on. But Aguilar sucks up against the fence. I mean, he just does. He gets taken down at will very frequently. He has apparently a good guillotine. He jumps for guillotine a lot. I've never really seen him finish it before. So, I think in my mind, I think Nicoll, the only thing scary about betting on him is, like I said, it is his first ever fight in the UFC. He's debuting. So, it's a little bit of a scary one, but, my pick, of course, will be Stewart. Moving on, we got Song Kenan versus Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn, he's a very good grappler. He's got good jiu-jitsu. However, terrible takedowns. His takedowns are not very good. His striking is very mediocre. I would say Song Kenan is a clear pick here. I think he's the way cleaner striker, a lot more jacked as well. Ricky Glenn, this is his first fight going from lightweight to welterweight. And, like I said, Song Kenan, you'd be an idiot not to pick him. And then we have Tom Nolan versus Dominic Reyes' older brother, I think. Now, Alex Reyes is insanely inactive. I think he's fought about 2 times in the last 5 years. And, he's got nothing for Tom Nolan, just being honest. Nolan, he's kind of a lightweight Corey Sandhagen. He's like 6'3", but not the longest reach, about a 73-inch reach, I think. Now, for being so tall and long, Nolan does not do a very good job maintaining distance, but his striking is dangerous. He's got good knees, good elbows, and Alex Reyes, like I said, he just, I don't even know why he's fighting at this point, to be honest. I think it's just he's hopping in for a quick paycheck, and then he's hopping out again. That's just purely an assumption. I don't know the guy, but he's so inactive. And like I said, I just don't think he's got anything for Nolan. Nolan's like a minus 1,200 as far as the odds go. I don't even know what betting on him will add to a potential parlay. But yeah, this is a very, very easy pick for Tom Nolan. Then we got Jack Jenkins versus Gilbert Burns' brother. Gilbert Burns' brother kind of sucks. I'll be honest. His jiu-jitsu's not bad at all, but his gas tank's terrible. His striking's not great. His wrestling's not great. And Jack Jenkins, he's good. He's genuinely very, very good. He gets in the pocket. He throws bombs. He's very durable. decent takedown defense, and I think he should be a massive favorite over Herbert. And I just got to add in here, Herbert and Gilbert are just not, in my personal opinion, those are unfortunate names, right? I don't know if those names are very, very popular in Brazil, but Herbert and Gilbert, I just don't like that. You know what I mean? Regardless, Jack Jenkins will be on the parlay. And now we have Josh Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. Okay, this one right here is parlay poison. This is parlay poison. Picking either of these guys for this parlay is just how you fucking burn it. It's just how you fucking light this shit on fire and throw it off into the wind. Because essentially, I think what this comes down to is Ricardo Ramos, I think, should be the favorite here. He'll be who I'm picking. It's tough. I think he's a little more dangerous with the striking, a bit more power. But Josh is very technical himself, and he has power as well. Honestly, this is one where I don't see any massive advantage/disadvantage for either of these guys. And Ricardo is very susceptible to guillotines. He got guillotined his last 2 fights despite winning up until that point. So, look, yeah, Ricardo Ramos, I'll be picking him to win. But again, this one, keep this one away from the parlay. Keep this one far, far away from the parlay. Junior Tafa versus Walter Walker. Junior Tafa, he comes from Glory. He was a Glory kickboxer, and he's very, very good on the feet, very technical. He'll have a massive advantage there over Walter. The only problem is, though, Walter genuinely has very good double legs. His double legs are not bad. And Junior Tafa, look, he lost to Muhammad Usman, all right, purely off getting taken down. I think that says enough here. You know, Junior, he's horrible off his back, a complete fish out of water. And look, typically when you look at the heavyweight division, these guys, they struggle keeping up the wrestling. You know, they gas out very quickly, which I think Walter does. But he still has the energy, and he has shown an ability to take you down in the 3rd round. And if he gets Junior Tafa on his back, that's pretty much it for the entire round. So to me, I just think that this is a really tough one. I would say I'd pick Junior Tafa to win. I think he's more skillful, and I hope he's really working on takedown defense and get-ups from off his back. But again, if I hadn't have seen Walker hit a double leg in the 3rd round, I would say Junior's clear for the parlay. But because of that, it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Li Jingliang versus Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates, he kind of fights with a Muay Thai style. He's tall and long. I think Li Jingliang, he's a good striker. He's going to be a bit faster, but Li is always, from what I've seen, he struggles fighting you with his hands. It seems like he's always just out of range, but he's quick, for sure, and I think that's what makes up for it a bit. But typically, he's not much of a headhunter in terms of landing, but he'll mix it up to the body and the legs a lot. The problem is, though, Carlos, like I said, uses a Muay Thai style. He's very light on his lead leg. It's going to be difficult to leg kick him. And Carlos has such a fucking good straight right hand that just puts guys out. And he's got amazing knees up the middle. Li Jingliang, like I said, he uses a lot of movement and a lot of speed. He's going to need to be closing the distance a lot. And I guarantee you he's going to be running into knees. And if he eats one straight right hand, he's done. Carlos Prates, he's an easy pick for the parlay. Easy. Tai Tuivasa versus Jair No Rozenstruik. Look, I think, again, this is a scary one for the parlay because both of these guys have a puncher's chance. But the thing about Rozenstruik is he fights behind a jab. Okay? He fights behind a jab. And for the heavyweight division, fighting a bunch of really fat, not super skilled opponents, that's a big deal. That is legitimately a very big deal. And again, like I said, it's a scary one because both of these guys have a puncher's chance. Tai Tuivasa has the massive advantage that Rozenstruik is not going to be trying to take him down. But again, the fact that Rozenstruik fights behind a jab is really, in my mind, that is just such a difference maker. Because you got Tuivasa, who, look, he's got decent leg kicks, but other than that, he's pretty much throwing for the fences. You know, he can throw some decent elbows on the inside, but for the most part, he's just swinging for the bleachers. And you got Rozenstruik, who I think he's a bit of a slow starter, but like I said, he'll fight behind a jab. And that small difference in my mind makes him a very easy pick here. Again, it's a little nerve-wracking, but I think that's going to play a huge factor in this matchup. Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Yeah, man, this is another one. Mateusz Gamrot, I hate betting on him because he seems to always fight down to his competition. But look, you know, as far as MMA math goes and what that's even worth, Gamrot looked somewhat satisfactory against Jalen Turner on the feet, who is taller, longer, faster, more powerful, and more skilled than Dan Hooker. And, he got dropped a couple times in that fight. But again, Gamrot will wrestle you half dead. All right, and that's a scary proposition. He could be essentially lifeless on the ground, but his fucking spider sense will kick in, and he'll just fucking immediately muscle memory fucking takedowns. And he's difficult to stop. I think, honestly, for the parlay, I think you got to bet over on rounds for this matchup because Mateusz Gamrot, look, he's not going to finish you. And I think the only odds he has of getting finished is if he runs into a hook or knee, which I think is very possible. But like I said, I think the best bet you can make for this fight is over 2.5 rounds. But, I will be picking Gamrot to win. But I would say as far as betting goes, I think that's the key there. Kai Kara-France versus Steve Erceg. I mean, come on, does this even really need to get elaborated on? I've gone on record to say Steve Erceg is the best flyweight in the world. I think he's the best flyweight we've ever seen. I think nobody can box with him on the outside. I think his ground game, his scrambles, it's also very, very good. He should beat Pantoja, and he should be the champion right now, and that is not controversial to say. And he's fighting Kai Kara-France, who, let's just be honest, Kai would be fighting at atomweight if they had that division. This dude walks around no more than 130 pounds, and I think he should be a 115er, and I'm just being honest. I think he is at a disadvantage everywhere in this fight. Maybe a slight speed advantage, but Steve Erceg, way better boxer, way more deadly, a lot more handsome, very good on the ground, and I think Kai Kara-France is screwed no matter where this fight goes. No matter where this fight goes. I mean, Kai could fucking pull out something we've never, ever seen before. He can revolutionize the sport before our very eyes in this matchup. And he's not beating Steve Erceg, dude. He's not beating Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg will be going on the parlay. And, of course, Dricus Du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya. I already made a whole video about this, but essentially the cliff notes to that video says it's a scary one to bet on, of course, because I think Israel Adesanya obviously is going to have a massive advantage out in the open. I think his jab will be landing all day long, but Dricus Du Plessis, as a commenter pointed out in my breakdown for this fight, he fights like a gorilla on rollerblades, and holy shit have I never heard something more accurate. Because, I mean, he does. He's so jacked and strong and powerful and so spazzy, but legitimately has decent kickboxing. He looks goofy, but he sets up strikes well. He's dangerous. He can mix in takedowns very well. His top pressure is a serious problem. So, if Adesanya can keep this fight out in the open, he's going to win. If Dricus closes the distance successfully, mixes in takedowns with his striking, which I think he can do because every time you rush at Adesanya with strikes, he's going to lean back. That's just what he does. That opens up the takedowns. It opens up body shots. But if Adesanya stays on his bike well enough and is able to constantly circle back to the center, I think he's got it. I am leaning towards Dricus to win, though. I believe, because what we've seen from Dricus in his last two fights is he has had very specialized game plans depending on who he was fighting. And I think we're going to see something very similar because I can see a very winnable game plan for him in terms of blitzing right into takedowns or blitzing right into body shots. Would I bet money on it, though? No. But again, this is one that I think betting over on rounds is very, very smart because, look, Israel Adesanya hasn't finished somebody in a very, very long time. Unless you're looking at the Pereira fight, which, again, that was a very unique circumstance where he set Alex up by baiting him up against the fence, which is just something he had never done before. Whereas Dricus, you bait him like that, he's going to shoot on you. But, again, Dricus does need to mind his P's and Q's here. Adesanya is capable of cracking him if he's too reckless. But, again, I don't think he will be. But, again, I think betting over on rounds is smart here. So that's probably what I'm going to do. So now let's make our way over to Bovada. And for starters, I'm just going to give you guys the locks. The bare minimum, in my opinion, locks for this card. Number one, Kenan Song, which at a minus 198, I'm surprised. But he's got to be on here. Tom Nolan's a lock, but again, minus 1,200. Not a ton of value there, but he's a lock. I think Jack Jenkins is a lock, but again, minus 850 is not great. And I think Carlos Prates is a lock. Rozenstruik is close, but I'm going to leave him off of the lock list. Now, again, for Gamrot and Dan Hooker, you got to bet over on rounds, but it's not available yet, but it will be closer to the fight, so I'll just put him as a placeholder. But again, I would say over 2.5 rounds or the fight going to decision is the lock for this one. You got to go Steve Erceg, and they should have the rounds open on Adesanya Du Plessis. They do, so I would say over 3.5 rounds is probably a safe pick. If you want to bet the fight going the distance, you could. Maybe 2.5 rounds is safer. I'll go ahead and put 3.5 just for sake of making a little bit more money. That's a 7-fight parlay, and $25 will win you $180, which, that's not bad. But again, I think you want some extra cash here. I think Stuart Nicoll is a good pick. It's slightly scary, like I said, because of Aguilar's power, but I like Nicoll on the parlay. And then the other big one to add would be Rozenstruik. So that's a 9-fight parlay, and that brings us up to 406. Yeah, I don't mind this one. I might be going with this one right here, but again, I think the first option I gave you is probably going to be the safest you can possibly go. But, that's what I got for you guys. So there you go. Let's see. This is, like I said, this is either going to make or break me getting new teeth. I'm either going to look like this the rest of my life, or I'm going to have, if my second parlay hits, I'm getting all veneers. But if the first one hits, then I'll just have 2 new front teeth next time you see me. But all right, let's fingers crossed, right?